Welcome to the Munello Show. This is episode 17. We are talking about the foundation of software success, which is mastering the discovery process. Oof. We happy to be here today?
Really happy to be here.
Yep. I'm going to discover how happy we are. And if you stick around to the end, we have a resource for you to help you through your discovery process. We are Munello. We are a software development and digital marketing company. We help companies succeed online through software and promotion through digital.
That little marketing bit, that was new.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
You can
You're
do
welcome.
It's almost like it's a new service that we're offering. Interesting.
Hey, you never know. So, what is the discovery process? What is the discovery phase?
So when you figure things out, right?
It's when you figure things out. It is also known as the planning phase.
No kidding.
It is also known as the first phase in a 5-phase project.
Isn't it kind of like a hidden phase? Like people don't often consider this phase.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Would you consider this phase crucial to starting a new project?
Yep. It is often the phase that gets skipped over because everybody wants to get to the sexy piece. Let's just start building it. Let's just start building the mobile app. I want to start to see it we don't need to know all the features. We can just figure it out as we go.
Right.
There's a lot of bad things that happen when you do that.
No, that sounds like a great time, actually.
Yeah. Yep. Typically is a really good time. Yep.
Just do things the way that you want to, all from the outset, and then, suddenly have to 180 pivot immediately after that and waste all those resources.
Yeah.
That's probably the best thing you could do for your business.
Yep.
It'll teach you a hard lesson.
So there are some serious consequences to businesses when they do skip the discovery phase or the planning phase, or not give it the time that it needs,
Right.
or really spend the time to figure out everything you need to figure out in a discovery phase, which is, a delayed launch. And that's going to really be terrible if you're pushing something out that's connected to ad spend, right? Or you've got, paid media that you have out there that's going to be promoting this web app, this mobile app, this new SaaS platform that you're launching. And if you're not ready to go and you've got ad spend kind of locked up, ready to go, things begin to get very log jammed up, right?
Yeah. Or even if you're depending on that income to start coming in at that time, like we've got money that lasts us until this point, and if we don't launch at that point, the whole thing folds.
Yep. Budget overruns is another big one.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
I don't know if I'm skipping ahead.
No, you're good.
Okay, good.
I feel like it's also crucial to not only worry about like the money, but making sure everything that you want the app or the new software to do is being met and it's going to be used for further down the line.
Or if it's even needed when it first comes out.
Because then again you're wasting your money, you're wasting your time, and then what?
Right.
Then you're back to the drawing board. You're back to square one again.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and then another big consequence is dissatisfied users, which can, equate to bad brand experience, right? And that's not a good thing. So we are here to go through the most critical phase of the software development project, or really any project. Even if we're going through setting up a digital marketing strategy, there's always a discovery phase that even happens in front of that, right? But discovery phases are typically, more in depth. Got a lot more to do in a discovery phase when it's connected to a software project. So, we're going to go through and discuss, why it matters, what you do in a discovery phase, kind of like what the outcomes are and what we get out of it, what we do as a team at Munello helping our clients through discovery phases and so on. So we've already gone through like some of the consequences. We've talked about what it is, right? We've talked about, what might happen if you skip it. There's other things too, kind of behind the scenes or kind of like under the rug things that you can do in a discovery phase, right? That really help out your project, right? And really one of the biggest benefits is, uncovering hidden requirements, right? Or potential challenges early on, right? Imagine you've skipped the discovery phase and you're jumping right into building it. and you know that you think your app needs to do like A, B, and C, and you're in the process of building A, and you realize A is huge. A has like 70 sub features that you never really even thought of before, right? And all of a sudden B and C get pushed way back because A is so huge. And you really get involved in understanding all the challenges right then and there. But if you do a discovery phase and you start to think this thing through, you can uncover all the challenges before it gets very pricey and time heavy, at the point of development.
We kind of had that situation recently with a client where we were sitting in a discovery phase with them, and they have one idea of what this part is going to be, this smaller part of the whole, and then we sit down in a discovery phase and we discover 75,000 other little things that are required or that would be required to do this other small thing, and it just like light bulbs went off in all of our heads that it's not as, if we hadn't had that plan, if we hadn't sat down and like whiteboarded that and figured that stuff out, you enter into development and you find it out then when resources have already been expended, like you've already paid people to start working on that project and stuff, and suddenly like everything has to change.
Right. You've got software that needs to be decoupled. You've got, developers kind of sitting around waiting for features to be finalized. It's just
code that just needs to be thrown away because it's just.
What about user personas? Are those also discovered in the discovery phase?
Absolutely. Yep. Knowing your audience, identifying your ideal client is a huge part of discovery phase, and it happens in the very beginning, because everything you talk about in the discovery phase after that hinges back to, well, how would Susie use our app, or how would Jim use our app, right? So yeah, very good call out. And then also, when you do a discovery phase, you're able to align the software solution that's being thought about in the discovery phase with the business objectives that the business is going after for the current quarter or the current year, right?
Yeah.
Which is pretty big, right? And you're able to create a realistic timeline, right? If you just think your app needs to do A, B, and C, and you pass it off to someone and they're like, hey, I think I can get this done in 3 to 4 months, and all of a sudden it also needs to do D, E, F, right? Then all of a sudden their 3 to 4 months turns into 6 months. You've now lost your frame of mind of, wow, I thought this is going to be a 3 to 4 month project. Now it's double that. Wow.
So really the discovery phase is just a formalized plan where it's not just something that's in your head. You start to put it onto paper and flow chart it and whiteboard it and get, like, obviously you're not getting a tangible usable product just yet, or usable service just yet, but a theoretical product or service comes into fruition on a whiteboard or whatever resource you're using for it.
Right. So just like getting a deck put on in your backyard, or an addition put onto your house, right? You're going to go through a discovery phase or a planning phase with the architect or the contractor is going to come in and do the work. And you're going to talk about the type of wood you're going to want, the exterior stuff, the features of the deck, or is your addition going to have windows? Is it, you're going to identify all that stuff so that you and the contractor can come up with a budget, a cost, right? And a timeline, right? You can't just have the contractor come over and say, I want an addition put on there, and then them just start charging you money and showing up to do the work. No one's, where are they going? What are they going to do? What's it going to look like? What's the color of the paint, the stain? Like, that all gets figured out, right? The same thing happens in software. Same thing.
And if that stuff, I'm sorry, go ahead. I interrupted you. You go.
Not only that, it's...
No, Jason, you interrupted her, right? She should go, right?
I don't know, maybe. Let's see if we can interrupt her again.
Don't make me lose my train of thought.
Who's there? Interrupting Kyle.
Moo?
Dang it, she knew.
Well, I would have not known what to do there. I'd have been like, what?
Come on, you have kids.
Yeah, it doesn't come up every day in the household.
I feel like it's also important, who's the deck for? Is the person handicapped? Do you have small children?
Yeah.
So that impacts the type of wood you want if it's a deck. You don't
Right.
want a wood that's going to splinter off easy to go into the little kid's feet. If it's going to be a higher deck and a person is in a wheelchair, stairs are not really going to be
Right.
there. So you
Or
have
the,
to,
or the necessity of a ramp.
yeah.
Yeah.
So those things, so definitely going back to the user persona, that's definitely a huge thing to take into.
Right. The consideration
Thank you.
of the software, even
Yeah.
even the deck, right?
And that's another important thing, not only just the user personas, but having the right stakeholders to make sure that that user persona is identified. Because
Yeah.
if you don't have the advocate for that person who might be in a wheelchair, then the construction company might never have known, or if nobody had mentioned it. And I mean, obviously, if you're in your family, like you're gonna. Yes, my wife is handicapped. She needs a ramp. But if you don't, you're a failed husband, I guess. But anyway, extrapolate that, put it into the corporate setting. If you don't have stakeholders there that represent or pay attention to the people who will be using the software or the people who will be consuming the software, then obviously you're going to have a problem.
So within that, how many people should be in a part of this discovery phase? Should it just be the person with the idea, or is it more the merrier to have all those ideas flowing? Like, what's a good representation of the people that should be a part of this discovery phase?
It varies based on company to company, software to software, right? Depending on if it's like the only thing the company is launching, then probably all stakeholders need to be involved. If it's something for a specific department that's going to help this department become a little bit more efficient, maybe only the head of that department needs to be involved, plus the users of the the people that are going to be actually using the software. In any regard, the end users should be thought about, even during the discovery phase when they're coming up with features, and then during the second phase, which is design, when this thing gets designed, the end users should be put into focus groups to check out the design, to see how they like the design, if they see any issues with the design. So to get back to your question, the key stakeholders, folks like us who are going to drive the meeting and bring out a lot of the information, and then end users. Yeah. And what are some things that as a team, what are some things that we ask the key stakeholders or the end users of the system when we're in the discovery phase, right?
What do you want your app to do?
Boom. What is the one big problem this software aims to solve?
Yeah.
Seems like you get that. You have to ask that question a lot.
Yeah.
But when you think of something, when you think of an idea, you think of what it's going to do. You don't think of what that thing is, like Matt said, what that thing is going to solve necessarily.
Yeah.
You're like, ooh, it would be really cool if we had this app that when you push a button, like an awesome thing happens. Ice cream falls from the sky.
Yeah.
But like,
I'm working on it right now.
yeah, exactly. But if you're in an area with an overabundance of ice cream and everybody already has ice cream built into their,
Right.
air conditioners in their homes and their
Right.
cars, and wow, this is a really real weird fantasy land.
Where
but if everybody
is
already
this?
has, I know, right?
Where is
If
this
everybody
going?
already has
I
the
love
ice
where this
cream,
is going.
No, I meant like,
Yeah.
where is this located?
Oh, okay.
If everybody already has the ice cream, they don't need a button that's going to make ice
Yeah.
cream.
You're not solving a
appear.
problem.
Even though that button is really, really cool. And
Really
that would
cool.
be fantastic. It's not going to work for
Yeah.
everybody who already has the ice cream.
Does it always have to solve a problem?
It should.
It
right?
should solve a problem or sell a product,
Okay.
right?
Well, it's got to be something that people need, because if people don't
Right.
need it, then they're not going to get it and use it. So.
It should generate leads. It should solve a problem. It should, convert sales, right? It should do one very, very, very good thing that it's set out to do.
Like create ice cream out of thin air.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a very important thing.
And then when you talk about or decide what that one thing it's going to solve is then understanding the key metrics for success, and then understanding the concerns and hesitations about the project, right? That's very important. So how are we tracking the success of this thing, and then what are the risks that we should be aware of, right? Especially if you're dealing with like PII data, right? Or online storage of documentation for people, right? So they want to be thinking through that. User research is another big thing. We talked about that a little bit, so we don't have to spend too much time here, right? Identifying the target audience, their needs, right? Do people really need an app to bring ice cream out of the sky when they already have unlimited ice cream?
Right.
Right. Doesn't make any sense.
Counterpoint, yes.
Right. And some methods to doing your user research, right? Surveys, right? SurveyMonkey is still an amazing tool.
Oh, love
Very
SurveyMonkey.
easy to use SurveyMonkey.
I haven't heard that name in a while.
Google Forms is still
Oh, another good one.
free and
Yeah.
absolutely available.
And it's so easy to get people to do your survey too.
Yep.
And do it without a bias point. You know, you learn
Yeah.
that in college. All your professors bend over backwards. Like, if you
Right.
put out a survey and you only interview your friends and family, it's going to be very biased.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
It's-
getting skewed
it's-
results.
Right.
Yes, you can post it on your social media, but then you're also getting skewed results because
Right.
you're going after direct.
Well, everyone's going to be like-minded, just like
Oh,
you,
yeah.
and have all the same morals
Thoughts.
and thoughts
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
have. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
So those
Right.
things definitely make sense when like you know what your target user base is, or you've got an audience already, or something
Right.
like that, because you want to query your audience.
Oh, yeah.
But then when you want to query like the general public, maybe that's when other avenues like services that
Yeah.
do this type of thing might be a
Right.
good
But
idea.
there's even, I know there's even like websites and platforms to even post your link to your survey, and you can be like, hey, if you complete my 5-minute survey, you get a $5 gift card.
Mm-hmm.
If you have like a certain budget and you only want like 100 people, you can easily get
Unbiased.
yes.
Though you got to
Yeah.
be careful because you need to make sure that the prize that you give them is also something that doesn't introduce a bias. So like if you give them a gift card to a specific department store, for example, you might only get the people who are into that specific department
store.
store instead of the
enough.
general audience. But it's a
It
good,
was
it's a
more
great
of
point.
a
That's
Visa
why-
gift card.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
That's why you got to do Dairy Queen gift cards, because everyone loves ice
But
cream.
I've got this app that when you click it, it just magically makes
So-
ice cream. So I don't need that. So,
So
I'm
when
not
you-
going to take your survey.
Interviewing, right, and observations, but when you send out your surveys and do your interviews, right, you
Mm-hmm.
want to make sure you understand what the current pain points are and what the current tools that they use to achieve and overcome those current pain points. Mm-hmm. Right, that's going to help you understand.
Asking lots of open-ended questions instead of just yes and no gets
Right.
you a lot more feedback and information than a yes or no question as well.
Right. And throughout the surveys and the interviews, you're really going to understand, is this going to be an easy adoption for people? Right? Are you going to have to overcome, like, is your marketing going to really have to sell this sell this app for people to download it to their phones, or for people to go to the web address to, sign up for an account? So competitor analysis is another big thing. Once you know your users, right, your end users, and you have those in mind, you can really start to understand your competitive analysis or your competitors that like already exist out in the market, which is a good thing. Competition is a good thing.
Yeah.
But you really want to understand where they're at, what the target audience that they're going after, and how you're going to differentiate your product offering against what they're doing for theirs. So understanding their strengths, weaknesses, and maybe interviewing some people that use their services would go, a very long way. Then there's
people's customers.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I feel like that's what business is.
Yeah.
So we've
pretty
done
much.
key stakeholder interviews. We've done our understanding who our user is. We've done interviews. We've done market research, and then now we're getting into once we've understood our competitive analysis, then we get into like a technical assessment.
Okay.
Brought that up a little bit earlier, but really it's understanding, okay, if people are going to need to be creating accounts and logging into this, well, this thing needs to be locked down quite a bit.
Yeah.
Does this app need to connect to a CRM, right? Any type of third-party APIs, right? We need to start auditing, okay, what are those? Do they have APIs we can connect to? How easy or how difficult will it be to connect to these APIs?
How much do they cost? If
How much do they cost? Yeah, absolutely. It's really good.
So I have two questions for you. One
hear it.
is, how do you determine which benefits and features you want like to come out first, or that are going to be most important to you? Like, how is that uncovered?
Very good question. Would you like to answer?
I don't know.
I was about to say, is anyone going to answer?
Is this an interrupting cow kind of deal thing?
This is a rhetorical question. I don't understand. What is a question?
That is a very good question. There's methods you can use. One being the Rice method
Yeah.
to identify
I think we had talked about
I
this
was-
in an episode
on a
before.
previous episode.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's
Anyone
almost like that
remember
was
what
the
episode?
segue you were. I think
Episode-
you might.
Episode
No.
11.
Feleven? What's Feleven? It's 11 or 14. That's what
I just know I wasn't here for that one, so I'm out.
That was in the old studio, I think.
Yeah. So once you list out all of your features, everything that you want your software to do, which it's okay to dream and think of everything that you want it to do, but you really need to limit that list down to what's called your minimum viable product, your MVP, which is basically what you're okay with putting out to the public to start generating revenue, right? Or sales or generating leads or whatever it is your one thing your app is solving for. Your MVP does not absolutely have to have everything in it. It should not have everything in it. There's reasons why. A, cost, B, timeline, and C, the users might not even want some of the features that you've put on your list. So you don't spend time on and money and resources on building stuff that you know users aren't going to want. Only focus on the things that are going to solve that one problem, generate the revenue, and then you've got this giant backlog. So then how do you figure out what goes into your MVP? Is you do ranking systems like the RICE method, which is on a previous episode, which we can link to. Really, it's a grading system, and everybody kind of votes on different rankings. There's like 4 different rankings per feature, and then it spits out a number in the end, and all the numbers that are greater than the mean is where you focus on those features. There's also the Moscow method, right? Must, should, could, and won't, which is more barbaric way of figuring out what your MVP is going to have.
If I remember, the RICE method is the one that we kind of landed on what we like the most, because it's more mathematical and less, I don't know, like subjective, relative.
It's more rigid in a way. It's not like scientifically, okay, these are the features. It's more like, no, this needs to go, and it's like, okay, based on what?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. But yeah, it's a big deal, and it's a very good question to focus on the MVP. Not everything should go. Funny little quirky features that don't generate revenue or don't solve the problem do not need to go. Put them on the backlog. Yeah. And then listen to the users. When people are saying, "Oh, it'd really be cool if your app also did this," and you're like, "Oh wow, we got that thing right here in our backlog. Let's put that in Sprint 2 or Sprint 3, or let's get it in because people are asking for it."
Or they could say something completely different that's not even in the backlog, and that's the whole point. Is then you pivot to start doing those things instead of what you had thought the user was going to want from whatever's in your backlog. Might be a nice to have for the future, but let's focus on what the user is actually asking for right now.
Yep. And then.
Oh, sorry. You ready for my other question?
Let's hear it.
42.
How'd you know?
Yeah,
I was going to say purple, but.
No. Well,
that was wrong.
Yeah.
The correct answer was 42.
Oh, okay.
Almost wore a purple shirt today. That would have been perfect.
Darn. Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Next time.
So, I know when a new company is trying to launch either a new project, a new software, a new app, or getting their foot off the ground to start a new company altogether, people have tight budgets. Mm-hmm. This discovery phase is so important yet so missed. Do you think it's because a lot of people are like, I don't have the money or the resources to allocate towards that discovery phase? So is this like a super expensive thing to do? That's why people keep on missing it and saying, it'll just happen along the way.
Mm-hmm. I think it more comes down to planning. So even before the discovery phase even starts, the management team is thinking about, let's either get this software built or it's a startup and they're thinking about, they need their SaaS platform built, right? It's more or less of a planning thing, right? And they're thinking about, we need to launch in Q3, and they're working themselves backwards and they're like, okay, we think it's going to take this long to build it, so we need to get started. And then they kind of wait and wait and wait, and then they're like, okay, we need to get started. That's right. And then once they, meet, a software company, they're like, well, hang on, we got to do a software discovery phase first. We need to know what we need. And now the company is thinking, well, shoot, we've guesstimated it's going to take us this long. Now we got to shoehorn in this thing in the beginning of the process. We didn't really gauge for that, right? Okay. So I think it more or less comes down to that because, studies show that discovery phases helps software projects, launch on time and on budget, right? So as long as your timing and your budget is on par, you should be okay with the discovery phase.
And then thinking, just kind of jumping off of that, like a missed discovery phase means additional costs
Yeah.
in the future. So even if, discovery phases might have a little price tag to them up front, that price tag is going to save you probably more than what that price tag costs in the first place
Yep.
in the future, saving on, missed opportunities and wasted resources, wasted development time, all that,
Yeah.
that
And-
type of thing.
Yeah, and physically what discovery phase looks like is probably a handful of 2-hour meetings in a room with a whiteboard and key stakeholders in there. We're driving it, it's going quick, it's fast, we're pounding through the 5 different things we chatted through, right? But other than that, I mean, then we're, okay, now we know everything about this software tool. Now we jump into the second phase, which is design, right? And we're no longer in the discovery phase. We're no longer in those workshops. We still meet and keep, client partners up to speed on like the design of stuff. We might come in and demo what we're doing, but it's no longer like very intensive. Discovery phases can be done in a week if you want, depending on the scheduling of and availability of, key stakeholders. So,
So
Yeah.
would you say if I was looking to build an app or a new software, I should reach out to the people who are going to build that app first to then hopefully get that discovery phase started sooner to then build out the full scope of when I want this to end?
that is a
No.
very, very good question, though. Very good
No,
question.
you should reach out to us.
Yes, yes, but take out a piece of paper, right? Take out a piece
Yeah.
of paper, whatever your favorite writing medium is, and start writing down. When do you want this live? How much budget can you set aside for this? It doesn't matter what it is, right? Your budget could be, don't dream up a budget, but dream up something that's, affordable. And then start to write down, who you want to use the app, what you want this app to do, what's the main thing it's going to solve, so that when you do get into a discovery phase with a company, you can just get up and running. There's no thinking that has to be done in the workshop, or, oh, I didn't think of that, or I didn't really think about who was going to be using this, or I didn't really think about that one thing that I want this thing to solve. So
You can
yes,
start the discovery phase
yourself,
for yourself.
and you can get it kind of, set up and ready.
And that's great because then whoever's running the discovery phase can ask more intricate questions instead of the basic, like
Right.
who's going to use this stuff? Well, how is this user going to use it? What exactly are they
Yep.
gonna do with it? Like, what problem does this solve for them? Instead of just like the basics that we could uncover.
Yep.
And do you think the resource that we're going to put out, do you think could help people start that process on their own?
Absolutely.
We're gonna put out a resource.
Very
We
good.
are.
We are. And in fact, if you've made it this far, we're going to tell you where to go to get it. Moonello.com/resources.
I don't know if it's gonna be here. It's probably not gonna be here.
Or
In
is
the
it will be up
comments,
here?
is it?
It's going to be on the
Is it
screen.
doobly-doo? I don't
It
know.
might be on the screen somewhere. Moonello.com/resources, and it'll be discovery phase related.
Or in the show notes.
And in the show
or
notes.
in the YouTube description.
Yep. You might see it on social media too, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
I'm gonna download it now.
You gotta wait till it's on the site.
Oh,
we
right.
gotta put it on the site first.
Oh, there's some development that needs to happen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We don't need a discovery phase for that though. 'Cause
You sure?
Yeah.
We probably should think about one.
Don't worry, I already did it. I did use the sheet.
Nice. Wait, you use the resource to build the resource? That's meta.
Yep.
Yes.
Also, I don't think she involved the right stakeholders. I wasn't involved.
Or were you?
Or was I?
Awesome. That
I
has
wasn't
been-
paying attention that meeting.
That has been the foundation of software success. Discovery phase, episode 17. Think that's it.
Is that it?
Thank you for watching.
Yeah. Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching. Thank
Yeah.
you for-
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Follow us on social media. We are on all the platforms.
I like it.
Yeah, I think that's it. Thank
now
you.
I'm trying to think of platforms we're not on.
Snapchat. We're not on
We're
Snapchat.
not on Snapchat. Are we on Threads?
No.
No. I don't think businesses can be on Threads, can they?
Oh, no. I don't know. I'm not on Threads.
It wasn't, in my opinion, Threads didn't really take off.
No.
Who knows?
Yep.
Yeah. We're not
Let's
on
see if Twitter
WhatsApp.
crashes.
Yep.
Or XYZ or whatever it's called.
But we are
Or-
on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn,
YouTube.
YouTube. Did I ever say YouTube?
I don't know.
Boy. Are we on Twitch? We should start
I lost
streaming.
count.
We should start playing video games.
We are.
Instagram?
This is live on Twitch right now.
It's live on Twitch?
Yeah.
Anyway,
No one
we're
ever
on
told me
social
that.
media. We
I
are
set up the
Modelo.
camera. I would know. We are not live on Twitch right now.
All right. Thanks for joining.